What?
Okay, good morning. Happy Monday to everybody for crossover week. It's going to be a long week, but we'll get a lot of good business done. We got some important bills this morning, and to start off our meeting, I'd like to ask Representative David Huddleston to open us up in a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, just thank you for this awesome, great day, Lord. Just thank you for all the things you allow us to do, Lord. If you will, just allow us to be your example and come to the house and just represent the people of this state and all the business that we do. And just be with us as we go amongst our travels and be with our families as we are away. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Before we get started too much, I'd like to ask one of the people that really help us on this committee from Georgia Farm Bureau, Adam Bellflower. Could you come to the mic, please, to the podium mic?
Yes, sir.
Now, somebody told me Valentine's were a few weeks ago and some other news about you. Could you confirm some news that you might want to share with this committee?
I did get engaged, not this weekend, but last weekend on Saturday. So
Well, congratulations.
very excited.
You want to share who the lucky girl is, or are you trying to hide her still?
Her name's Sally Kate Blackburn. Her dad's actually a former president of Cattlemen's back in, I think it was 2011 or so. But she grew up on a cattle farm out in Waynesboro. We met at UGA. So.
Very, very appropriate. Well, that's great news. You've been. I wanted to call you last week up, and you kept sneaking out. I didn't know whether you got word that want to do that, but that's great news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
All right. All right. Let's. We got 3 bills. I think one of them's we have a lot of people signed up to speak on its behalf. Is Chairman Lumsden here? There he is. Come and let's talk on HB 1206. And what is the LC number? 339675S.
That is
that
correct.
What you have?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Thanks for being here this morning.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to present. I bring to you House Bill 1206. This is I know it's agriculture and consumer affairs. This falls under the consumer affairs side of your committee. This bill deals with electronic signatures. I'm sure that many of you have been to your doctor's office or the hospital, or I encountered one at a hotel. I know we use them in our business, but it's pretty common that when you provide an electronic signature on a standalone device, now we're talking about the standalone device, the pad that you would sign onto, you don't see the document that you're signing. And sometimes they will present you with a physical copy that you can review, but most of the time they just ask you to sign on the pad. You sign on the pad, and you do not get a copy of what you just signed. So the bottom line is, when you sign on that pad, you don't know where your signature is going. You don't know for sure that it is going onto the document that you have been told that you're signing onto. All this bill does is says that if you provide an electronic signature on one of these devices, all the bill does is requires them to offer to provide, or to provide or offer to provide a copy of the executed document. And that can be done either with a physical copy of the document or an electronic copy of the document. That's all the bill requires. There is a monetary fine that goes along with it, but the purpose of this, it really should be good business practice in the first place, but it's not happening. I've encountered it many times where I'll sign, they don't even offer. So, and sometimes when I ask, they do not, cannot provide at that particular moment. So all the bill is doing is just asking for that you provide or offer to provide a copy of the executed document when the signature is captured electronically on a standalone device.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. We do have a couple of questions. Representative Camp, Chairman Camp.
Thank you, and thank you, Chairman, for bringing this motion. It's my understanding that Georgia contract law said anytime anyone signs a document, they are to be given a written copy. I guess I appreciate this because I believe this is an update. I know in real estate, we are required to give copies, but you're right. We've all been to the doctor's office and other places and did not receive that. Was there a particular instance that prompted this, or was there someone who brought an issue to you?
I had a constituent that brought the issue to me, and as I started thinking on what he was telling me and the concerns that he shared, I realized that I had been in many places where I had given a signature and not been offered a copy. I mean, how do I know that what I just signed, that my signature is going on to that document? There are also, broader issues, and I'm not trying to tackle those issues here within the confines of this bill. But bottom line is, I give that signature, it might accidentally be placed on some other document that I didn't know anything about, or it could have, that signature could be used inappropriately with intent, or if their system's hacked and my signature is stolen. It could be used in some other nefarious way by the hackers. Can't address all those issues. This is just trying to narrow it down to the simplest thing that I can do that will really accomplish something, and that is what makes common sense. Provide me with a copy of the executed document, either a physical copy or an electronic copy. That's all the bill requires.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative Vance.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a motion at the proper time.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Has anyone else got any questions on this bill? I think it's a pretty short bill, straightforward. Second time you've been here.
Page and a quarter.
I will entertain that motion, Representative.
Second.
Got a second? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. Motion passes. On the rules.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Got another bill here. Remember our committee, Representative Hagan. You come to the table, Mike. We've got HB 583, a substitute, LC 442755S. Is that what you have?
That is what I have.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for let me come back and talk about this bill a little bit more, members of the committee. I went through the bill last Thursday, but I did want to again thank Department of Agriculture, Commissioner Harper, Catherine, everybody over there that helped me get this bill where it is right now. They're happy with it. Appreciate the hard work that they put in with me. So I just wanted to thank them again. Again, this bill basically does two things. It opens up an additional delivery stream for cottage food operators so that they could sell to a third-party vendor in addition to consumers as they're directly permitted to do. And then it just codifies and reiterates that the Department of Agriculture has the authority to enforce the law regarding cottage food industry and will have authority to set rules and regulations. So, Mr. Chairman, I know there were some questions that some people had after last week. I think most of those are addressed with the bill, but I would be happy, Mr. Chairman, to answer any of those questions if there still are any.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions I'll relate to you that was related to me. So let's make sure what a cottage kitchen is. It is from a residential kitchen.
It is
is that what the bill? I want to make sure that is in the bill.
That is the cottage food industry. It is non-potentially hazardous food that would be produced within a person's personal residential
So
kitchen.
if it gets larger, if the business is really successful, it gets larger than their home kitchen, then what happens?
They're no longer a part of the cottage food industry.
Okay.
And so that would be a completely different set of rules and regulations. And at that point, I believe it would actually not be housed under the Department of Agriculture anymore. So a separate entity at that point.
Okay. Could you go through also questions related to me about what foods?
Okay,
A
sure.
little bit. I mean,
We are on
cakes, cookies, cheese
Yes.
straws.
If you look on lines 29 down through 39, it lists the types of foods that we're talking about here. We're only talking about non-potentially hazardous foods. And some examples would be bread, rolls, biscuits, cakes, jams, jellies, preserves, dried fruit, seasonings, granola,
So it
these
would be
types of things.
possibly canned items like jams, jellies, pickles.
It could be, but not canned vegetables. That
Okay.
would fall under a different category. They could be, they're potentially hazardous. So these are, it's very strictly defined as in the bill as to what, and currently this is what is allowed, non-potentially hazardous foods.
other question, this bill sort of really takes the Department of Ag out of the equation unless there's a complaint. Is that kind of what this
Well,
does?
Not
Catherine,
exactly.
I might
she
get
might
you
be a
in a
better
minute.
person to address that.
Will these cottage kitchens have to have apply for an application or permit? They will not.
Well, that would depend on the Department
the
of
department.
Agriculture. Let's let Catherine address that.
Thank you for being here, Catherine Russell, Department of Ag,
Good to see you
an
guys
expert
again.
on all things.
So I have to tell you, I'm not as well versed in cottage food, but I've learned a fair amount while we've been working with Representative Hagan on this bill. So I think one of the what I'd really like to highlight about this bill is that currently the Department of Ag oversees the cottage food industry, and the only thing that we're changing here is that we're allowing for wholesale within that same
Okay.
structure. But we are not, and we're limiting it to non-potentially hazardous foods.
So we've had little or no issues presently with our cottage food regulations.
No, we
Okay.
have some staff.
I wanted to hear that.
Okay, who
That-
are committed and very knowledgeable and have offered us a tremendous amount of support to the cottage food industry. So
Okay.
we're appreciative of that.
I've had one other, has the department ever assessed a civil penalty or violation? I see the bill on line 107 only has a $75 violation, which is pretty low. If we got somebody really not want to abide, is that gonna be enough to deter? Especially when how would you shut down an operator that was not doing well?
So first of all, we're certainly flexible on the amount of the fine. One of the things that we're not interested in doing is having people who are interested in beginning to foster their entrepreneurial endeavors. We are not interested in tampering that or keeping people outside of the marketplace. So that's one option. I would have to go check to see if what administrative actions have been taken in the past, and I'm certainly happy if there are any other speakers. I'd be happy to step outside and contact my team and get an answer for you immediately. I'm not aware of any.
No, I'm just trying to inquire, make sure our committee is comfortable with what we're doing in cottage food is all I was really, I don't want to open up something that we have to come back and fix like some other bills we've had this year.
Well, if it
My light, just stay right there. We got some questions. Representative Donahue.
Chairman, just a question, and I think I understand this pretty well. A constituent of mine, Amanda Wilbanks, she started in her home the Southern Baked Pie Company, and we've had it here, chicken pot pies, tomato pie, and very good pies, coconut cream, all types. Then she had to leave because she reached a certain capacity. What would be the minimum or the maximum that you have to stop the cottage kitchen and go out to and start a business outside of your home?
That's a good question. This bill does not address the amount of product that could be produced. Currently, the cottage food industry, it's specified as those non-potentially hazardous products that are produced within a person's residential kitchen, and that would not change at all with this bill. If they were to move to a commercial kitchen, then that would no longer be a part of the cottage food program.
Okay, and thank you. And one more, if I'm
Okay.
cooking 10 barbecue butts, Boston butts, 5 briskets, and Brunswick stew, I can sell that out of my home also?
Well, that would not be a part of the program because it would be meat, and that would be
Okay,
potentially
that's-
hazardous.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Chairman Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 109, the department may inspect the residents. Are these kitchens inspected at any time on a regular basis, or is it only upon a complaint that is filed?
Currently, you might be able to address that better than I am, but let's,
So I can confirm it for you, but I believe that it's based on complaints at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Representative Stinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your work on this legislation. And since this is an industry that's already in existence, I'm assuming Georgia Department of Revenue is already involved with how you pay sales tax to this type of cottage industry or business.
Good
when it comes
question,
right.
But more of a ways and means type question. The Department of Agriculture doesn't collect the taxes on these products.
All right,
at
very
all.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Camp.
Thank you to my friend. I appreciate you bringing this bill. Isn't it true that my business partner, who we now own a restaurant together, began her career in cottage food, selling at farmers markets while she was in culinary arts school, which she did from her home, and she followed all the rules involving the culinary arts. But as her business obviously grew, it became necessary for a restaurant. So this is a catalyst for small business development. Is that not true?
That is true, and that's why I love this program, because entrepreneurship is very important to me. Being a part of rural Georgia, we want small businesses to develop in our districts, and it's important in suburban and urban areas as well. But a commercial kitchen is very important. A lot of capital has to go into that, and this program that the Department of Ag operates is one that allows somebody to get into the business, test out their products, see if there's true interest, and then make that investment should they decide that that's the direction they want to go in. And I know in a lot of cases it's led to much larger businesses and success for people that may not have been able to get into the industry otherwise.
Thank you. Committee's got one other question. Representative Mathis.
A general question. Thank you, Chairman. We had an issue with a home kitchen like this cooking, and a complaint was made. It was in a residential area, and what happened is they applied for the city to give them a local legislation or a permit to operate out of the house. Well, they deemed it was not suitable for that because it was in a residential area. So does this cover anything of that nature? So they were pretty much telling her she needed to shut her kitchen down. So
Well, this bill does not address any local business license that would be required at all.
Okay.
So if a business license is required locally, they would need to do that. If it's not, they wouldn't. But that's not addressed in this bill.
okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got one person in the audience that would like to speak to the bill. If they would come to the podium mic, Jacqueline Hain, she here? And if you could keep it under a couple minutes, we've got one other bill.
All right, Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Like I said, I'll keep it brief. My name is Jacqueline Harn, and I'm the Coalition's Director for Americans for Prosperity Georgia, and I'm here to speak in favor of House Bill 583. At Americans for Prosperity, we support policies that empower Georgians to contribute to their communities, provide for their families, and live meaningful lives working towards their version of the American dream. With HB 583, this would allow for home bakers to sell to third-party vendors and further grow their home businesses. By streamlining this process, as we've heard today, these entrepreneurs can further grow their small businesses and possibly use this as a jumping-off platform to either increase their client base or even eventually open up a brick-and-mortar years down the road. It is for these reasons that we urge the committee to support HB 583. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got one other question from the committee. Representative Carter.
Good morning, thank you. I had my light on earlier, but my question was answered, but I do have one question. I love this. But in the line that talks about the inspections, do we know if we have adequate inspectors as we expand this program, or will there be a plan to expand the number of inspectors that we have?
Well, we don't have an estimate right now for who all might be joining this program, and I think that once we have some data to go off of, we might be able to answer your question a little bit better.
But as we grow, we will expand inspectors.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that is all the questions I see from the committee. What is the wishes of the committee? Got a motion? Have a second? Any other questions for the author of the bill? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of passage of HB 583, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, Representative. Good bill. Okay, before I lose some folks, you got a invitation you've seen before in your packet for our peanut dinner. If you have not RSVP'd to Grace, please do so. This is the Georgia Peanut Commission annual report to this committee, and instead of coming to this committee and giving a report, they're taking us to dinner. And it's a very nice dinner, and I hope all of you will be able to attend. Spouses are invited as well. So that is March 4th, Monday, a week from today. Representative Cannon, got a bill. HB 1322. LC 550240.
Let's have some fun.
This is the first time we've seen this, I think.
Yes, sir.
Committee.
It is. That's correct.
Delta 9, Delta 8.
Am I good to go, Mr. Chairman?
We're ready.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good morning. I bring you House Bill 1322. LC number is LC 550240. This is a department bill, one of three this session that addresses hemp. And to quickly summarize, there's four primary components to the bill. Component one includes packaging restrictions for hemp, and specifically requires a couple of things for hemp product packaging. And that is, it must be composed of material designed to minimize exposure to light and mitigate exposure to high temperatures. Is not attractive to children. Is not a look-alike product, and is tamper evident and child resistant. All right, component two is on the advertising side. It includes advertising restrictions on packaging and specifically targets and prohibits advertising that is attractive to children, and also any advertising on packaging that misrepresents itself as low THC oil. Component three includes retail store restrictions to include the prohibition of selling or distributing consumable hemp products if the store is located less than 1,000 feet from a school, and retail stores would also be prohibited from advertising themselves as a dispensary or seller of low THC oil. Finally, component four conforms state law to mirror the federal legal limit for Delta 9 THC concentration measurement as set forth in Title 7 of the U.S. Code, which currently has a legal limit of 0.3%. So that's quickly summarizing the bill. Four primary components. And Mr. Chairman, if you allow it, I have someone who is much more eloquent than I on this topic. And I'd like to let her give some details, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Catherine, you want to go over a little bit, some other comments?
Certainly. I can tell you that, first of all, thank you for indulging us in hearing all three of our hemp bills. I do appreciate your attention there. And I also think that maybe I haven't shared this prior and should have, but we've been working on this package over the interim, and we have worked with hemp retailers, hemp wholesalers, medical marijuana companies, law enforcement, prosecutors, sheriffs. So, and they all have been supportive of the direction that we're trying to take the department. So I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. This bill is a little bit more restrictive than what we've seen prior. It's pretty straightforward. It's modeled. I would tell you that the first section where we talk about restricting advertising so that the packaging is not attractive to children, and that is modeled after the Florida law. I don't know if any of you guys have heard. They had an event they called Operation Candy Crush, and the Georgia Department of Agriculture moved through Florida, and they removed, I think, 7,000 products off of the shelves that were all products that were either considered attractive to children or look-alike products. And so what I'm going to actually do is I wish this were a little bit bigger, but I've got 2 pages I'd like to pass around. Let me take these. And when this flyer comes by, you can see that there's packaging for Nerds, Lifesavers, Skittles, Jolly Ranchers, that upon first inspection or to an unsophisticated reader such as a child, this would be potentially very confusing. I've got a couple of other samples here. I picked up this Rice Krispie, maybe it's Fruity Pebbles treat, from a store over the interim. This particular treat has 300 milligrams of Delta 9 THC in it. On average, it takes about 10 to get someone high, and there are about 30 of those in here. And my child, who's 2, grabbed it off the counter and started trying to unwrap it, and it was one of the scariest things I've ever witnessed. Here are some gummies these are actually HHC, which is a new up-and-coming intoxicant, but these offer watermelon rings, which are very similar to candies that you would see in stores right now. Anyway, so the first section of the bill, we're outlawing what would be considered attractive to children or look-alike products. Beyond that, we're restricting advertising such that a store can't call itself a dispensary to help control confusion. As I know there are some people in the community, in different communities, who will talk about a dispensary, and they're actually just talking about a shop that sells hemp products, rather than going ahead and recognizing that, and they fail to recognize that it is not a low THC dispensary as we have provided for in law for medical marijuana in the state. There's another restriction in here for locations near retail stores. I just pulled this from the restrictions that we currently have in place in the alcohol code. This is not retroactive. In fact, it doesn't even go into place until July of this year. And so it would just prohibit stores locating within 1,000 feet from a school beginning in July of this year and moving forward. And then the last section, and this is a little bit tricky, but what we've done is we are conforming the way that we look at Delta 9 THC concentrate in the state, and we are conforming that to what's already required by the feds. So in 7 CFR 990, there are clear instructions about how you calculate total THC, and that's the measurement that you use to determine whether or not something is hemp or marijuana. That's not been incorporated into our state code, and I think that there are some people who would like to be confused by that. But as we all know, we have a supremacy clause in our country, and if there is something passed by the feds, the states have to follow suit. We cannot override them. So we have this directive that has been established by the federal government, and we are simply conforming to that, but we're doing it in such a way that it's clear to the prosecutors what is and is not legal, and in hopes also that it'll be clear to any store, retailer, or consumer.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the work on this bill, and I really thank Commissioner Harper and you and others who really want to tackle this problem. I think we all really see several issues. We've got laws about consumer hemp, and it's just, we just need to make sure these products adhere to the law. and I know a lot of them have these products are outside the legal limits, and trying to get a handle on that is very important, as well as our children, protecting them from these some of these products that I consider to be dangerous. And so, thank you for wanting to tackle this. We've got some questions, if you stand by, from the committee. Chairman Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Cannon, for bringing this bill, much needed. My question on the if somebody violates this, what are the penalties for that? Is that in here?
I'm trying to remember which.
Or revoking their license, or
You know,
what?
I apologize. I'm trying to remember what was established in the
person
second
said
bill
it.
versus this one. So, if this bill passes along with the licensing bill,
That was my second. Is it covered
'Cause it's
in the
not- yeah, it's not
licensing
addressed
bill? That's what I
individually
wanted to make sure everybody saw that it's covered in the other bills.
yes.
The
So
three-prong approach that we
that's
are
right.
taking.
That's right. So we would have the opportunity to pull any non-compliant or illegal product from the shelves to protect the consuming public. And then if we have repetitive problems with a licensee, we'll have the option to seek administrative action, criminal action, or revoke the license.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Chairman, I know we normally require 2 hearings on a bill, but I know this late time in the session, if the urgency of this is, I would love to make a motion if it be the will of the chairman at the proper time.
We'll take that. It'll be up to the committee today what they want to do. So thank you for that offer. But we've got about 7 or 8 people in the audience who want to speak to this bill that we're going to try to get to them. Got a couple more from the committee. Representative Carter.
Thank you. Okay, first I need clarity. I'm not a gummy person, so did I hear you say, or are you saying that gummies are sold in stores other than hemp stores?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
They're
Okay.
sold in gas stations, and they're sold. There's no restriction
man.
on where things are being sold currently.
Okay. And how will we enforce? Because this sounds like since they're in locations other than HIP designated retail stores, how will the state of Georgia enforce this law or control what's happening?
So that's the current state that they're being sold in a number of places. So you may remember with our licensing bill, we'll require that you cannot sell these products without being a licensed retailer. And at that point, we will know, and we can go visit every year stores that are selling hemp product.
Okay, so that means they will no longer be sold in gas stations and convenience stores.
Oh, theoretically, if a gas station wanted to become a retail seller, they could.
Okay.
They would just have to be registered with the department.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think on those other bills, we set those licensing fees pretty low. I think I can't recall.
There's a range based on volume, and I asked for them to be low.
Yeah.
For instances where we have a store that maybe just sells a handful of product, and that we would base all that on volume.
Okay. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill, Representative Cannon. My question is, will there be any education or awareness to any of the retailers who are currently selling that would not be able to sell anymore unless they have licensing? So, like, how is the Department of Agriculture going to be able to get the word out to retailers such as gas stations that may be selling these products?
I think that's a great idea. One of the things that our commissioner has really started focusing on is making sure that we are communicating with the public and we're making sure that they're informed of what the department is doing. And I think that it would be important for us to make sure that the public is aware as we start moving into phasing in to our new scheme.
Okay, so you're just one little follow-up, Chairman, if you would. So you're saying that there will be an advertisement or education awareness campaign around this, centered around this?
If that's important to you, I think that's definitely something that we can move forward with and discuss. It's not included in the bill.
Right.
Though. That's just administrative practice.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Stinson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative, for your work on this legislation. But my question is kind of in line with what she just stated, but it's more relating to, and I'm just going to quickly share. I'll be very brief. I had a very unfortunate experience with these gummies. I was at a conference, and I was given a little pack and didn't realize that what they were, because it was just a pack with nothing, it didn't have a label on it. And I was at a conference and was given this, and I end up eating more than I needed to eat, and I had a very unpleasant experience. And I was at a funeral home conference actually, and I was given these things. So how would we regulate things like that? When people are having access to these and at conferences, how would they know that there's a license now that they have to have in order to distribute these type of gummies? That's
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought your question was going one direction.
I'm sorry.
And then it took a turn.
I'm sorry.
So, if individuals are dispensing product that requires a license, then I think that they're acting outside the law. And, we can't stop everyone.
Right.
Yeah. We can't stop people who are buying alcohol and then giving it to kids.
Gotcha.
We're not going to be able to stop every actor, but even those that are not acting intentionally. So one of the things that we try to address in this bill is making sure that people aren't confused. If you see there's a pack of Skittles, I don't know about you guys, but I don't eat 3. I eat the whole package, and so.
Well, that's kind of what happened to me.
I'm so sorry. That sounds like it really changed your day.
My day, my night, my week.
Well, Representative, I think that's what this bill is about, making sure that it's packaged, making sure the strength is known by the consumer, to make sure the consumer knows what they're getting and the product abides by current law with the THC content and CDB, and also I think a real important bill. Let's hear from some folks in the audience. They came this morning. Appreciate all of y'all taking the time to come here and comment on this bill. Christina Flores, first on the list. Please come to the podium and tell us who you're with, and if you could keep it to under a couple of minutes, be good. We've got several, and we got a limited amount of time.
My name is Christina Flores. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. This bill is very important. And I am here speaking in opposition to the bill. I'm here with the Girl Plug. I am a small community organization that focus on education so people don't overeat cannabis and have a better understanding of how to consume cannabis medicinally. So overall, I'm a mother. So overall, I believe that this bill is well-intentioned. And it's really important to regulate hemp products. The proposed measures in this bill risk hampering business growth, which is my concern. It also is hindering cannabis progress. We're not even talking about marijuana laws, we're just talking about hemp. And Chairman, I understand that there's a lot of confusion around marijuana and whether it's dangerous or not, but I want to note that we all giggled when we heard that the chairman, excuse me, not the chairman, but the member over here overate cannabis. So we know that it's not deadly to consume too much cannabis. It's just really uncomfortable. So I want to go through, I have a bill analysis that I'm happy to share with everyone here. It's pretty comprehensive, and I think that it's important for everyone to take a look at. I'm emailing it to you as well. I have all your emails and your assistance as well. So some of the things that I'm concerned about is the restrictive requirements with packaging. So the packaging requirements outlined in Section 5 impose significant restrictions on how consumable hemp products can be marketed and sold. By mandating specific packaging materials and design features, the bill adds unnecessary costs and barriers for businesses, particularly small-scale businesses who may already be struggling to afford compliant packaging. And I know that entrepreneurship is very important here in Atlanta and Georgia overall, so this is really important that we're not adding more costs to people who are already struggling to enter the business. Also, this is stifling innovation. Again, we're not even talking about marijuana, we are talking about hemp. And there are already federal regulations saying that hemp products cannot contain more than 3.5% THC. Now, you don't want to consume a whole package still, so even if the packaging says that it has 300 milligrams, it is on the consumer to know how to consume that product. 10 milligrams of cannabis or hemp-derived THC can give you the medicinal effects that are necessary. Over consuming a whole package will send you on an entirely different trip. So I would say that that onus is on the consumer to understand how to consume their medications. The packages are already pretty clear on how much is inside of those. I also want to say that there's implications for equity here. The stringent regulations outlined in the bill may disproportionately impact small businesses and entrepreneurs from marginalized communities. The financial and logistical challenges associated with compliance could further widen existing disparities within the cannabis industry, limiting opportunities for economic empowerment and social equity. And I know that as we're moving forward and having a beautiful and thriving hemp industry, we want to make sure that there's equality in that. And we're already seeing disproportionate outcomes within the hemp industry, and we don't want to further exacerbate those. I also want to speak to the advertising limitations. In Section 6, it also prohibits retail establishments from advertising or presenting themselves as dispensaries of low THC oil without a dispensing license. This restriction limits the ability of businesses to accurately inform customers about the products they offer and may create confusion amongst customers who are seeking hemp-derived products. And we don't need more confusion. Even educated members of this committee are having trouble knowing how to consume cannabis safely. So we want to make sure that we are letting them know that we are serving a product that can have a intoxicating effect, even if you are consuming it medicinally. The strict measures outlined in Section 7 and 8 introduce strict enforcement measures, including the requirement for corrective action plans and revocation of licenses for negligent violators. While enforcement is necessary to ensure compliance with regulation, overly punitive measures could deter businesses from entering the hemp market and lead to the disproportionate penalization of small-scale producers. And again, we want to see a vibrant, competitive hemp market in Georgia. We want to see those tax dollars. We want to see that entrepreneurship is budding in Georgia and not being stifled. And then furthermore, the lack of clarity. Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Get to the end.
I can do that for you. So the lack of clarity in testing procedures outlined in Section 8, it revises testing procedures for Delta-9 THC concentrates, but lacks clarity on the specific methods to be used. Without clear guidelines on testing procedures, there's a risk of inconsistency and ambiguity in determining compliance with THC concentration limits, potentially leading to unfair penalties. And I will finish by saying that I do oppose this bill, and I hope that you will as well.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate you coming this morning.
And do you want a copy of my assessment? I can hand it to one of.
You can see Hannah over
Hannah,
here.
great. Thank you.
What would maybe help you. Next, Stanley Atkins. Would you want to come speak?
Yeah, he's sick, but we have Amari Anderson.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Okay. Come to the podium, Mike, please. Just tell us who you are and if it's an organization you're with.
Good morning, members. My name's Omari Anderson, and I am the owner and CEO of the Best Dirty Lemonade, a hemp-derived lemonade company operating in the state of Georgia. And I vehemently oppose this bill as well. We have lemonades on the market at 10 milligrams. They have child-proof locking on them, child-proof lids. The problem that I have right now is there is a component to this bill that's telling me I now have to get new packaging that prevents light to get to the lemonades. And that's not a problem for my company as far as light touching the cannabinoids and degrading the integrity of my lemonade, but we just can't afford another roadblock to business. What we've seen here in Georgia is that we have a low oil THC program, and this is a great start, right? But we should be moving towards finding a way to have marginalized communities being able to find access and enter this economy at scale. What this bill is going to do is it's going to prevent operators like myself from moving forward. It's going to add other roadblocks to being a successful business owner here in Georgia. We just heard you talking about cottage kitchens and cottage businesses and supporting, small businesses. This is what we want to do. This bill, although well-intentioned, it does not achieve those goals. All right. I believe that we need to protect our kids. That's why we've gone in my business and taken measures to we have child-resistant locks on the top of our beverages, but we need to make sure that everybody is able to have access and we're not stifling small business. Thank you.
Good morning, esteemed committee and reps. Thank you for having us this morning. My name is Kyle Brown. I'm the owner and CEO of the Bookstore Gallery, located in Castleberry. I serve the community here in Atlanta. I'm all about providing a safe space and access to individuals who are 21 years and older. All of my products are third-party tested and validated. I have all my COAs and everything. Small business. I cannot compete with larger MSOs or MSOs who have larger capital than I do. I'm a small business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm all about educating the people on the uses and benefits of hemp and CBD products. I think the bill does have good things and good intentions, but there are things that will challenge us as entrepreneurs. I serve veterans who do not need high THC. They are dealing with PTSD and want to have low THC products and CBD to help with their anxieties and their depression, and like I said, their PTSD. I have senior citizens who are now learning about CBD amongst other drugs that they're taking, but the CBD allows them to help with any type of inflammation and also with any arthritic pain. These are topicals. These are not things that they are smoking or drinking, right? Again, I'm here about educating people. This bill does have good intentions, but it does impose a lot of increasing costs in running my business and educating others, and also changing packaging that I know is up to the state standard and to the federal regulation as well. So all I ask is for the committee just to review this bill. It's a lot of stuff in it, and we want to make sure that it's well balanced and it doesn't impede us on growing our business as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Thank you for being here. Next, Yolanda Bennett is on our list. Is she available to come speak? And then we've got two more after you. Please introduce yourself, and you have the floor.
Hello, my name is Yolanda Bennett. I'm with the Georgia Medical Cannabis Society. We are a 501c3 organization that has been providing assistance to medical cannabis patients here in Georgia to navigate through Georgia's low-dose THC program. So what we've been doing is assisting patients to find doctors, because the doctor's list is not available. It's not legal to produce, to go out. But anyway, let's go ahead and go with this bill. Basically, let's define dispensary. A dispensary is defined as a place that you prepare medicine. CBD is medicine. So that's why they should change the name to dispensary. And you talk about packaging. This is what I'm holding here. My medication from one of the dispensaries here in Georgia. You talk about packaging. Look how easy it is to open this. And not just that. Look at this. What does this look like to you? We're so focused on trying to cut out the CBD companies while we have the medical cannabis dispensaries out here serving products just like this without having it properly labeled. You're concerned about children, if you lay this down on a piece of, right here, looks like a Jolly Ranchers, is it okay if I allow you all to look at my meds so that you can see that we're focusing, what it looks like is focusing on the people who've been keeping us afloat all this time. When we didn't have dispensaries, it was CBD companies that kept us afloat. It was CBD companies that provided us our medicine. It was CBD companies that continues to provide us our medication, because the only thing that we are able to get from the medical cannabis dispensaries is oil, topicals, and lozenges. However, there are many of us that need the hemp to smoke for instant pain relief. They're not thinking about the patients. I understand, okay, fine, we can give you the Skittles and stuff like that, that's fine. We can do that packaging, just don't name it Skittles. But if you lay this down, this looks just like a Jolly Ranchers. If we're gonna impose this much force upon the CBD companies, we need to do the same thing to these medical cannabis licensees around here, because it's not fair. Who is coming up with this bill? That's my question.
This bill doesn't address medical.
I understand.
We've got a whole nother commission that sees about that, and they're certainly capable of making their own rules and regulations.
Yep.
This is
CBD, but I was just using this as an example. We're focusing on the CBD companies that have been imposed with more rules.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly what part of this bill.
This part of the bill right here, I have an issue with. Number one, it's an overreach of regulations. You know, as far as, while I understand the need for oversight in the hemp industry, this bill's stringent regulations such as strict testing procedures and arbitrary location restrictions for retail establishments go too far. They're too focused on these CBD stores that's been keeping us afloat. It seems like the medical cannabis companies that we're not discussing here today is getting ready to try to shut down and corner the CBD market that has been keeping a lot of people afloat. As far as the Delta 9, cutting it out, we need the Delta 9. Patients need the Delta 9. If they go ahead and cut the Delta 9 as far as the hemp-derived smokable plant, if they cut that, then where we would go? We only have this, we only have lozenges. We need instant pain relief. I'm talking about if you all cut out the hemp-derived THC as far as smokable products, no child's going to go up there and want to smoke that. It's not prepared for a child.
Okay. Well, thank you for these comments. We're short on time. Appreciate your time coming here. I think the committee heard your concerns. We've got one other, Kyra Jackson. Yes, sir. You want to come to the mic? Okay. Please introduce yourself. Come on up here. You can come through there. And go to the podium, Mike. And then we've got one other person after you.
Good morning.
And then we'll.
Good morning. My name is Lance Robertson. I'm former city councilman of the city of East Point. I'm also a CBD store owner, Holistic Health and Wellness, and I also represent the Hemp Minority Alliance. This bill did have good intentions, but it will create a financial hardship on the CBD industry right now. We are out here really helping and educating the community for those who need it. I do what we call puff and paint events, parties, once a month for veterans who have PTSD. They come in, we have an art therapist there, we have a DJ there, and we try to help them get through the next day. We work with a lot of children who have autism. This holistic health and wellness area, in reference to our packaging, is an overstretch because I have 5 products right now and ordering 4 more, which would be 9. I would have to go back and repackage all of my products right now to meet this particular guideline. This industry has a place for CBD. We are here educating and helping thousands of people on how to provide holistic health options. They just closed the hospital in the city of Atlanta. They just closed one in East Point. The community needs holistic options. In the cannabinoid and the CBD industry, we are here to stay, and we want to make sure that you do not have an overstretch so we can continue to educate the people that vote for you, the people that support us. It's the same group of people that we have to have access for. Please reconsider this. I am opposing this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Got a question from the committee. Yes, sir. Chairman Meeks, do you want to ask? Got a question?
Yes, sir. Just so that we're talking about apples and oranges here. Line 17 of the bill reads, attractive to children means any image, words, shapes, or colors that are designed or likely to appeal to children, including but not limited to cartoons, animals, toys, novel shapes, bright colors, yada, yada, yada. On through line 20. Are you telling us that your packaging is described in line 17 through 20 of this bill?
That is incorrect. It does not carry that. We have, our packaging truly educates people and provided, but there's, in reference to our labeling and our packaging for some of our products, we will have to go back and redo it. We are not marketing and doing anything for young adults. We are trying to market those who have the needs that are over legal age, have the needs to get the supplies and access to it. The packaging, I get it, but it is an overstretch because it will hurt those who have to repackage everything else in their particular product. I don't agree with those commercial type packagings at all, but I am opposed to the overstretch of this bill and how you're trying to regulate. And really, it will put hundreds and hundreds of businesses out, small Black and brown businesses. I also was executive director of the National Black and Latino Council, so a lot of people are calling me saying, what's going on? How can I continue to run my business? Because down here at the Gold Dome, they do not have our best interests at heart.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Notwithstanding this bill, are all your products in your store presently legal?
Most definitely, and they are third-party COE certified. We have been doing everything right. I've been in this industry since the beginning. My area is CBD City off of Cascade Heights. We are here to truly, and we work with children in the community. We make sure that they get their haircuts. We make sure that they get tutors. So we provide a community atmosphere for our store.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Mr. Dunn, Wesley Dunn, could you come to the podium? This is our last speaker, and then we'll talk to see if the committee's got any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I represent the Hemp Alliance. We have retail stores and growers as members, and I've spoken on the other bills. I'm trying not to repeat myself, but the handout that Catherine's passed around with the labeling is exactly what our organization is trying to prevent happening. Those are the products that get into children through gas stations. Our people are very much in favor of this bill. Our packaging complies with it. Mostly, they're not trial-proof bottles, so to speak, now, but the manufacturers put that together. The bill doesn't take effect till October. And most of the existing product can probably be sold through that time, and then the suppliers will be furnishing the packaging in the future. But we strongly support the bill. We think it's reforms that will help the industry in the long run. The packaging over here, the Rice Krispie thing, stuff like that can very easily be consumed in whole rather than in a prescribed dosage. Most of our products come in bottles. They say very specifically that the unit is 1 per day. And the gentleman just spoke. He is, I'm sure, a wonderful and professional retailer. And that's the kind of people we need in the business. I do disagree that it's going to put people out of business because, again, it doesn't go into effect till October. And again, most of these products come from wholesalers who will be the ones that are packaged in the future. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. If not, I appreciate the time of the committee and hope you will favorably pass the bill.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ms. Dunn. Any questions from the committee? Okay. Representative Carter, if you got a question.
Okay, thank you. It wasn't necessary for him. I kind of read through this, and I heard you, and I'm sympathetic to the business owners. But what I was understanding with this legislation is that we were trying to address the lookalike products. And the intent seemed to want to protect the least of those that can make those decisions, like our kids. And again, you just educated me that you can buy these in regular stores. So is there a way to address some of the concerns that have just been brought to us from the businesses that are operating that are not necessarily in the stream of the lookalike products? Because a lot of times we do pass legislation, there are unintended consequences we have to come back and fix. So is there anything that's been shared that we can address now? Because I do believe that this is an issue that we need to move some legislation on, but at the same time, how do we not get the businesses caught up like what we're hearing today? Because I'm with you. Again, I'm not a gummy person, but I want to be able to make sure we making a good decision here today.
So, I think, first of all,
Go ahead.
Thank you for the question. I think I would like to start my remarks with just highlighting that of the concerns that were voiced, not all of them are applicable to this law, right? So beyond that, it was said that this law is, or that this bill is restrictive, and that's accurate. It's restrictive. It's meant to be. Currently, you guys have probably all heard the adage that the law follows, it never leads. And so in this instance, we have an emerging market that's been completely unrestricted. And our intention is to put some regulation on it. I understand that some of the repackaging expenses are something to think about. There's already a delayed effective date, but that probably would be a conversation that we're definitely willing to have with some of the speakers moving forward. But as far as it being over restrictive and stifling, this is pretty narrowly defined. If you can't compete, it means essentially, according to this bill, that you're selling product that's attractive to kids, or you're selling product that's outside the legal limit, or you want to advertise as a low THC dispensary. And so I think some of the comments maybe weren't tailored specifically to those restrictions, because this is very narrow. But we are very much interested in restricting access to children.
One question with what you just said. So is it a possibility, Chairman, or to maybe extend the effective date? To your point, these retailers that have products, first of all, put something in place to make sure the kids aren't getting them in time to relieve themselves of these products and repackage.
Well, I think we'd have to split it between two things, right? Like there may be, like the packaging that we saw displayed here, I don't know that would necessarily qualify as attractive to children, so that's not problematic. That could probably be pushed out. However, the things that are purposefully being put out there for children, I think we probably shouldn't extend the effective date on that. So it's probably something we would have to work through later.
Okay, I think we've discussed this bill pretty thoroughly, and thank you, Representative Cannon, for bringing this bill. Thank you, Ms. Russell, for your work on this hemp bill and the others that really go along with it, and many other, Representative Corbett and others who have worked through the years on these bills. And the author of the bill would like to, if you could go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you just Google, children overdose on THC gummies, so you'll find all kind of news stories. Just 5 years, the number of small children in the U.S. exposed to cannabis after accidentally eating an edible rose 1,300%, a new study says. 2-year-old allegedly overdoses on THC gummies, police say. This is just a quick Google. Virginia mother pleads guilty in 4-year-old son's death from THC gummies. more children than ever are overdosing on marijuana edibles, report from Connecticut. So just Google that. You'll see enough news sources to read some more info yourself on it.
Okay, I've got 9:40. We've got a session coming up. It's crossover week, and we can come back in here. I think we've got room reservations on Wednesday, and if y'all would like to come at 7 a.m., you certainly welcome to. Or we can try to come try to make a decision here today. Do I hear any motion from the committee? I've got a motion. Do I hear a second? I've got a couple other questions from the committee. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Chairman. So, I mean, just quickly, because I know time is of the essence, I'm just still back at that same question. And we've heard from business owners today, and we know that we've been carrying this title, the #1 place to do business. And we've heard some of our business owners saying how it would directly affect them in packaging and the monies that they would have to put out to repackage. I'm still at the issue of relating that back to the business owners about them having to repackage or spend additional monies. I mean, I understand the bill. I support the bill in essence of what it's saying, of trying to curtail an issue with children, but it's inadvertently affecting another portion or segment of CBD business owners at the same time.
Representative Thomas, this bill is also, remember, going to go over to the Senate, and where it's going, I'm sure, going to have lots of Senate input into it, and we can certainly, I know the department can certainly work with them and others as this makes through the process. So, Kathy, you want to speak to that question, though?
I will. Is it, okay. Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate for me to be, okay,
Yes,
I just wasn't sure what our procedural posture was. So firstly, the effective date right now for packaging is in October. So any product that's not sold between now and October would have to be addressed. We just had conversations about potentially extending that date. So products shouldn't have to be repackaged unless it's sitting on the shelf for an extended period. Does that make sense?
It does, but, and Chairman, I take your comments that we'll do some work on this in the Senate. Thank you.
Representative Carter, you got another question?
Well, yeah, because your first question was whether before someone moved to make the motion meeting Wednesday. So let me just go on record. I would love to support this bill, but if we vote right now, I'm going to have to vote no. But if we meet Wednesday, and truly, I do not want to come here at 7 a.m. in the morning, but I will. But that gives us another day another 2 days to really get an understanding how it's really affecting the folk. And if this bill doesn't affect the people that are in the room, that gives us a chance to really talk to them. Because I want to be able to vote yes today, but if we vote right now, I'm gonna have to vote no. And I'd rather sacrifice and come here Wednesday morning, Jesus, at 7 a.m. And give us a chance to work through this. So that was just my comment on where we are right now.
Okay, thank you. I do want you to vote yes on this bill, and but I do have a motion. I do have a second. So what, Representative?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So what is our options if we don't come Wednesday at 7? What other options do we have to go ahead and vote for this today?
That's the motion, is to vote it today. I got a motion second to do that. I really don't Representative Carter, I really don't, what changes would you want to the bill? I mean, I'm trying to figure that out.
I can't answer that for you today because my concern is the concern of the business owners that have come and shared some things, and they And if what I just heard from the testimony, what their concerns are, isn't really in this bill, but another day or two to talk to them, to have them to understand what's really in this bill, and if there's something in here that does affect them, then that gives us a chance to hear that. Now, if we had heard their testimony last week, then we could address it over the weekend, and we'd be ready to vote today.
I kind of.
Okay, we're out of time, and I think we'll come back Wednesday and vote this bill. Look for a notice from me for this bill, and we'll take this up on Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned.